Hey, thanks for joining us on our channel today. We're going to be painting a paint pour pumpkin. And to do a paint pour, you have to have a few things prepped out and ready so that you can, make the paint move across your canvas. You're going to have a base that's going to be in all of your paint, and that's going to be made by school glue, like Elmer's, the white glue, mixed with water. That's how we're going to begin. So let's mix 60% glue, 40% water, and let's create a base. Once you have that mixed up, you're going to pour out some of this into separate cups, which we're going to add color to in just a moment. You're going to need a little extra of that mixture, enough of it, to mix with acrylic paint and create a base coat for your canvas. It will affect the swipe that we do because the paints are going to mix. And you can see, I started with a white base on my canvas, and then I used yellow, red, and orange, but it just faded out my colors too much. I want to consider that base color and how it's going to affect your paints and the overall effect you want in the end. So for my pumpkins to be brighter, I based my canvas with my leftover swipe that I didn't like. And so you can see how it's more faded orange, yellow, and red. Now with the cups that we have separated with the flow medium, our glue and water that we have, you can mix your color, whatever acrylic colors you choose to make your pumpkin. I'm going to use yellow, red, and orange. Now I know that yellow and red make orange, so I'm going to have several different shades of orange on my canvas in the end. Now before we pour this paint mixture onto our canvas, we need to add one special ingredient, and that is silicone oil. So easy to find. You can find that at a hardware store, probably even Walmart. You don't want to overmix the oil inside your paint. So do your base and paint, get that mixed up thoroughly, and then add 2 to 3 drops of silicone oil. Swish, swish, be done with it. Move away from it. Don't stir it. If you overstir it, it doesn't do as well. And then once you swipe it, you kind of aggravate it a little bit, and this little reaction happens, which causes a cell to develop. And you can create even more by adding heat. So you'll see that I'm going to use a hairdryer to blast my canvas with some heat and cause those cells to open up and get bigger. Do you see these little bubble cells that start happening where the color begins to pop through? That's what you call a paint pour cell. And it's going to add just this really beautiful, interesting texture to the round of our pumpkin. And then here's a close-up of those details. Aren't those cells so fun? This is my paint pour after it's been dried. It took it a couple of days. And now we're going to use a watercolor pencil. You could use a regular pencil if you want to, but a watercolor pencil gives you a little more freedom because if you don't like what you draw, you can wipe it off with a damp rag. If you can draw a curved line and then reverse that curved line and make them face each other, you can draw a pumpkin. So we're going to begin by adding those curved lines in the center of our canvas, and we're going to connect them, and it's going to end up looking like a long oval. And then we're going to start making those curved lines on each side of our oval, and just bring it in ever so slightly. Don't go all the way to the bottom, but just take it in just a little bit. Taper it in to the bottom of the oval, and then do the next line on the outside ever so slightly, just a little bit shorter, connecting these curved lines. And this will begin to make your pumpkin. Now, because I used a watercolor pencil, I can take a brush with a damp brush with a little bit of water on it, and I can move that pencil around a little bit, and it'll start creating shading for me, and it will give me a little bit more defined lines so that I can see my lines to paint. We need to add some acrylic paint on top of this mixture because the watercolor it's not going to permanently stick to this canvas. Now I'm just going to take a small fine line brush and some acrylic paint. I'm going to use a little bit of water to thin out my paint, almost like an ink, so that it will flow and move. I can have a little bit more control of it. And I'm just going to start going over all of my lines, helping my pumpkin appear. And then we'll start adding some more details, just simple details. We're not going to go crazy. We're going to let the paint pour and the paint cells be our actual pumpkin details. I'm going to mix a little bit of a reddish orange, a darker shade than what's on my canvas. I want to add a little shade and deepen the color just in the areas to give my pumpkin a little bit more 3D look than just the lines. You can leave yours as lines. You can add detail. You can do whatever you want. This is your painting. And then I'm going to add a few highlights with some yellow. I'm just going to water my yellow down just a little bit. Just streak it in the areas that light would hit it on the outer parts and help give it some highlight. I'm actually using the orange and some black, which is going to give me like a deep brown tone, just to add some color to my stem, and I'll add some white highlights into that. I'm not going to do anything overly detailed, but just enough to help my pumpkin take some shape. Now I'm going to shade underneath my pumpkin with the watered down black just a little bit, but I just kind of feel like I just feel like I could pop it off a little bit more with some green. So I think I'm going to paint the bottom of my canvas green. You choose whatever color you wish or leave it as it is. You don't even have to put a bottom on it if you don't want to. I know that it's a little scary when you look at this paint, and it can be a little intimidating and messy, and that might be a struggle for some of you, and that's okay. We just want you to know you can conquer this fear. Don't be afraid to get messy. Let's not have any fear in our artwork, and let's just play with the paint. I have no idea what this is going to turn out. I have absolutely no idea when I pour this paint and swipe it what I'm going to get. None. Sometimes I just start over because I didn't like what happened. And sometimes something is revealed in it that I never would have imagined. So trust the process, and let it be a reminder to you that in life, sometimes things are messy. Things are just not going like we think, and we don't really have a lot of control with it. But trust God to take care of you and to handle this. And in the end, you might be starting over with something, or there might be something beautiful revealed in the mess that you could have never imagined. Just know that you can always trust the Lord.